Welcome to the show, The First Generation Mindset. First Generation Mindset is about taking nothing for granted, waking up every day and striving for excellence. Through my book, I've outlined a 3-step process: vision, value, ask. You must have clarity of your vision in life, figure out how you can add value to other people, and then have an ask in life. Today, I'm going to engage with Randeep Singh, who's going to 10th grade and is 15 years old. I've known Randeep from the day he was born. So we have very close friends, and he's actually the older son. Known him for 15 years. And Randeep is aspiring to be an entrepreneur. And in the last few weeks, he made a list of all the people his parents know, and he's been engaging with them and talking to them and interviewing them to learn from them about their journey, how they got in their business, how they're being successful, what failures they've had. So today I'm excited to share my journey and answer some questions with Randeep and hopefully give him some guidance to be more successful. Randeep, I'm excited to have you over here.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
So I know you have a list of questions you want to engage with me, ask me. But I understand you had a sit-down discussion with your parents, and you shared with them that you had an aspiration to talk to other people, especially your parents' friends, and get some insight from them. What I want to know first, Randeep, is what triggered for you to even have the thought process, because you are in high school, going in 10th grade, and you have a lot of things going on. So what's the thought process behind that, Randeep?
Yeah, so as you said, I'm Randeep Singh. I'm going into 10th grade next year. So whenever I was in 9th grade, me and one of my friends, we participated in a club called DECA, which is a nationwide club that basically deals with giving students projects on business fundamentals, and like these students learn about it and then they compete. So me and my partner actually went to state, and we succeeded. But during this time, while I was working with my partner while we were working on our project, it really piqued my interest in the business space and being an entrepreneur, that I decided to tell mom and dad one day that, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur. Then starting that day, every single day for the past 2 to 3 months, all I've been hearing is why. Why do you want to do this? Why do you not want to do that? Why? So this one word has been torturing me for 2 months. So finally over the summer, I decided, you know what? I'm just going to take initiative. I'm going to figure out why. So I went to dad and I asked him, hey, I'm doing this thing. I want to go interview a bunch of successful entrepreneurs like yourself, and I want to figure out why. Why do I want to, indulge in a field like this? So dad was like, you know what, let's do it. He gave me a list of names and numbers. I just had to get in contact with them, set everything up. They would not interfere whatsoever. They won't text them. They won't call them. They won't talk about it until after the interview was done. So I met up with them, and so far I've met up with about 6 to 10 different successful entrepreneurs, and I've gotten loads of insight, perspectives, tips, everything that I could possibly need. And just trying to get into the field.
Love it. So I know you mentioned about a DECA organization. Tell me more about that. So this is an organization that runs programs every summer, every year. Tell me more about it.
So it's actually a school club that I'm pretty sure is offered in every high school. So basically what it is that it's a business club that deals with giving students, you get to choose your own business fundamental that you want to, expand. And there's different projects that you can do, or projects that you can make up on your own. And if it passes a line that, your teachers or your principal says yes to, then you can go and present it to all the judges. So basically we did something called role play, which is an event that you do where the judges give you a scenario and you have 15 minutes to prepare for pitching the idea of that scenario. So for example, we got given a TV program that dealt with their major way of getting money was through the spelling bee and through kids, but they were losing money because when the spelling bee ended, then they had no one watching their show. So we had to figure out a way to pitch
that was the project.
Yeah, so this was our scenario that was given to us. So we had to pitch this to the judges, but given some other things that are tweaked, so that way over the time that the spelling bee is not working or not running, this TV program is still getting money through other forms of things. So we came up with an idea where it's a subscription-based TV channel, And not only does it do spelling bee, but it does a lot of other educational things for children. Because children were the main people using this channel, it wouldn't make sense to put like, sports or like some other TV shows that adults may watch. Instead, it would be more of a kids thing. For example, I think one of our channels that we were going to add into the TV program was like an educational math kind of segment where it would teach these kids a lot of the things that they wouldn't learn in school very easily. So yeah, we got past it. We did that one and we got past it. We went to state. Then in state, the same thing happened, but this time we had to create a chain of restaurants, and we had to explain why would people want to use our restaurants and things like that.
Tell me more about the second project. So it was same team member?
Yeah, so
There's two of you.
yeah.
So when you advanced to the next level, you were told to come up with a restaurant chain.
Yeah.
And what would you do to promote? Is that what?
Yeah, that's pretty much
So
what
walk
it
me
is.
through that project.
Yeah,
please.
so we created these 3 restaurants that basically dealt with the major entertainment spaces. For example, the first restaurant was more of an adult space where it was bars, pool tables with sports betting machines, because sports betting has been huge this year in 2024. A lot of people have gotten into sports betting and it's done a lot for people. So we decided we should implement that in one of our restaurants. So because sports betting is not available for kids and it's pretty much illegal, we decided that we should make this a more of an adult space than a kid space or stuff like that. So that was our first restaurant. Our second restaurant was, that was our first bar. So then our second restaurant was more of like a family restaurant where it was a bar for adults. Then on the other side, there was a lot of things like for sports. So it had a half court basketball court, turf for soccer and football, and then ping pong machines, like a lot of arcade games for little kids. And then the main restaurant, which would serve full 5-course meals. So
And the third one?
yeah, so the third was more of just a regular entertainment space than it was a restaurant. It would just serve snacks, but it was like a movie theater, but connected to that was a mini bowling alley. So say, the parents want to go watch a movie, right? But the kids don't want to exactly watch the movie. They want to be loud. You can go to the bowling alley, bowl with some friends, or even if you just don't want to watch the movie, you can go to the bowling alley and bowl with friends. And even during downtime, like say there's not a good movie playing during this couple of months, you can easily go to the bowling alley and we would still be making money. Or you could go to the restaurant, or you could go to the sports betting and we'll be still making money.
So as a project, you were given to come up with 1 or 3 restaurants. What were the parameters?
So the parameters were, they just had to create a chain. It doesn't matter how many restaurants, doesn't matter like what it had to be. Just as long as you make a chain of restaurants that gets you money, and you just have to pitch your idea to the judges.
I see. So this is a chain of restaurant that could be one or many.
Yeah.
So you came up with 3 different concepts. One is for young adults, one is for kids, one is for adults.
Yeah.
And how did you do in the contest?
So we actually did pretty good. So what they do is, the way they select it is that the judges will give you a score, and if your score makes it past the benchmark, I keep forgetting what the benchmark was, but if it makes it past it, then you'll go to the next one, which is called ICDC, which happens in California. So that's like the national tournament. So we were right at the cutoff. So we were 2 points behind the benchmark because unfortunately our marketing strategies weren't very realistic. We were saying that we were going to put our advertisement on the Super Bowl because during the time of this tournament, the Super Bowl was still happening. Like it was about to come up, and Super Bowl ads and ads like that were super big. So unfortunately, our judge didn't really think that idea was very realistic. So
Did you agree or disagree with him?
Yeah, so I actually agree with him because this is just a new chain of restaurants that we have just created. I doubt that we'll have, like $62 to $63 million to put a advertisement on TV for like a couple of, 30 seconds. So I completely agree with him. I feel like we could have, done a little bit more. We could have figured out some other places.
So based on round 1, round 2 of this project, what were your 3 key takeaways from this exercise of taking part?
So number 1 has got to be that you have to think about what you're going to do for marketing, because judges really think about marketing a lot. And if you have good, like realistic marketing strategies, they'll like let you go, and it's also good for you too whenever you're thinking about, future, if you need to pitch an idea to someone or if you need to really put your idea out there, these things can help you. Number two, I think it was more of a communication thing. For number two, you have to like really talk to the judge. I've noticed whenever, you know, a couple of my friends were doing it too, they weren't really talking to the judge. They were more just like robots, like reciting their lines always. But I feel like if you, you know, talk to the judge, if you understand them, if you just, you know, have a little conversation with them while also pitching your idea, they'll really, you know, they'll get comfortable, they'll get cozy. They won't, you know, feel like they're talking to kids. They'll feel like they're talking to someone that knows them. My third one, I think, is even though there's a time limit, you just have to take your time. Because, so in this competition, they put you on a big table with like all the other teams that are competing in your same event, and they're right next to you and you can hear exactly what they're doing. So I heard a lot of these people were just rushing, like constantly rushing. Like they weren't
In the presentation?
No, so we get 15 minutes to make up our ideas, make up our marketing strategies, and then we pitch it to the judges for 2 minutes. So the people who are at this table, so it's just everyone in who is doing your scenario, so they get put on the table, and for 15 minutes you can listen to them because, you know, there's a lot of people, so
You can listen to their pitches.
yeah, so you can like hear them. I mean, you're not supposed to, but it's pretty obvious that you can hear some kids talking loudly and stuff. So while we were working on our own, I've heard a lot of people who were just kind of rushing. Like they would give an idea, but then like right at their, like it's a good idea too, but right as they're about to get to the good part, they just stop and they just move on. So they like keep rushing it, and then they don't make it all the way. Whereas what we did was we took one idea and we just kept making it larger and larger and larger and larger until we got to like a certain point where we should start a new idea. Keep going larger and larger and larger and larger, get a new idea. And then just keep doing that, and, you know, it worked for us.
So you're going to take part of this next year as well?
Yeah.
What would you do different next year?
So next year what we're doing is, instead of us competing in a role play event, which is where they give us a scenario, we're going to make our own scenario by actually creating a company. And we're going to pitch it to the judges. And what we're going to do differently is we're going to actually make this company like an actual company. We're going to get the product. We're going to make the product. We're going to make the website. We're going to do everything. We're going to try to make it full scale.
Have you ever really thought about what this company is going to be, what the product would be, or is it in the works?
Yeah, so it's currently in the works. I've, you know, consulted with him a couple of times, and we've talked about it a little bit, about it, and we've actually agreed upon what the company is going to be, but now we just need to get the content in. And, but yeah.
So how did you hear about this DECA program?
So I actually heard about it through school. So in school, they have like these posters that are put across the walls. And I saw it. So none of my friends would really talk about, like my older friends who have already done this, they've never really talked about DECA. They mainly talk about like debate, HSA, stuff, other clubs like that. But when I saw DECA, I was curious. It was a business thing. You know, I was taking a couple of business classes then too. I was like, why not? So I asked a couple of my other friends who were, I think, now in senior year, and they were like, yeah, you should do it. I mean, it's really good. A lot of people love it, and if you make it all the way, then it's really good on your college apps. So I took one of my friends who, me and him have been pretty close for a while. I took him, he's also interested in business, and we were like, let's just do it. So we got together, and it's like a 5-month thing that you do, and, you know, it consists of all the stuff. So we did that, and then, yeah.
Fantastic. So, and it's only offered in high school.
Yeah.
So you took part this year, went from one stage to the next one, went to state level. So in the first project, when you had to pitch, this was also given 15-minute timeline, or how was that set
Yeah,
up?
so it's the same setup where they give you 15 minutes to create your ideas, talk with your partner, figure out what you're going to do, read the scenario, you know, fit the benchmarks, all that. And then you're given 2 to 5 minutes to talk to the judges, pitch your idea with the judges, and just talk to them and try to get them on your side and why they should.
Fair enough. So going to school, you study all the subjects, history, geography, math, all that stuff. But this is not part of your academic program. This is something beyond that. But this is never taught in school. This is through the school DECA program. So how influenced you were based on what you did for 4 or 5 months, going through this stage 1, stage 2, versus the influence you've had from doing all the academic coursework? How much weight do you play on this program?
Yeah, so I think during that time, I was very influenced by DECA because I was actually taking a business class in my freshman year too, just to see how it was. And I think DECA really put me out there like, damn, this is business. Like I think like this is what it really is, you know, like these scenarios are like real things that could actually happen. So I think it really opened my eyes to what the field really was, more than just my classes, which was like skimming the surface or like just talking a little bit about it and like a little bit about finance and stuff like that. I think DECA really like opened my eyes like, okay, this is business. Like this is what you have to do. These are the strategies you have to use. Like sometimes it's gonna work out, sometimes it's not gonna work out. Stuff like that.
I know you mentioned one of the biggest takeaways from you for this project was to concentrate, figure out the marketing. Marketing has to be effective.
Yeah.
As you were sharing, and I've not heard this before, what I got away from this, Randeep, was while you had a great business idea, your marketing strategy may have been effective, but return on investment, where you have to pitch to an investor or someone who's going to build a company with you, what do you want to spend to build a company, and how much return you would have on that investment. The Super Bowl ad sounds phenomenal. You have a lot of exposure, people watching that, and you get a lot of publicity, but the money is spent. How long would it take to recover that? And you have that kind of capital to invest. So my perspective, Randeep, is yes, marketing is important, but it's what you're spending to make that business work and what kind of returns you want. Okay? And remind me again, the first project was it done this year or last year?
It was done this year. Well, yeah, it was done in the middle.
What were the lessons learned or key takeaways from that project?
So I think from there it was. I think from there our marketing was really good. So I don't think the marketing strategy would kind of work. And I think it was more of communication that we could have done better on, because this was my first time doing it. I was very nervous around the judges. But I like realized that, you know, the judges are just, you know, they're just people. I talk to people all the time. All I have to do is just, you know, stop being so stiff. You know, just kind of like ease into it and do things like that. So I think the communication is what really got us past it. Whereas, you know, our ideas were good and our marketing was good.
Remind me again, what was the topic on the first?
So it was the TV channel that dealt with the spelling bee. So our idea was good for what else we could do, and, you know, the way we were going to do it, why we were going to do it, how we would do it was good. But I think both of our communication was also really good, because not only were we talking about the topic, we were also making connections, like to other things like movies, TV shows, stuff like that. Like, for example, the judge was really into the show like Reacher. I don't think you've watched. You should watch. It's a good show. But he was really into that show. I don't know where it came from, but he was really into that show. And, you know, we were pitching it to him, and then out of nowhere, we started talking about Reacher. So then we really got onto that like personal basis with the judge, to where he like felt comfortable, and he wasn't like just, you know, bombarding us with questions. We were just easing into it. And
love it. Do you feel after these two projects, your confidence level went up? And what was the biggest takeaway? Was it pitching your idea? Was it having right communication? Was it connecting? What was your takeaway from that?
So I think it was all of them, to be honest. I think the marketing that's just something that, you know, you just got to figure out and do. The communication was really big. I know, like, over the past couple of months, I've like learned for communication that doing things like like, and that kind of stuff kind of deteriorates your speaking, and then holding eye contact with the person that you're speaking to also really helps you, and then like makes you look professional too. So that was the main thing, and that was really just the main one that I've.
So let me ask you this: fast forward 10 years from today, 20 years from today, and you have your own successful company, and you are looking to recruit someone, hire someone in your company, and you have one person's resume profile who has all straight A's, 4.0 GPA, has exceptional academic excellence, and this other person has maybe not as high grades, but has above average scores. And you're talking to both people, and both the second candidate also meets the minimum criteria. So they have a college degree or whatever else. Now, when you're engaging with them and talking to them, you're going to interview them, correct? And when you're recruiting someone into your company, what would you look for in recruiting someone into your company, no matter what the company may be?
So I like to think about it how, like, grades are not everything.
Okay.
So even if, you know, someone may have 4.0 GPA straight A's, but another guy may have straight B's but like a 3 a 3.2, 3.5 GPA, but he's very good at like what he does. Like for example,
But you do not know that.
Yeah.
It's a resume, and you're going to have an interview face to face. You do not know how good or not good they are. So what metric would you use
oh, okay.
to recruit someone into your company? So you have the resume here, exceptional, academic excellent. This one is above average. Now you're talking to each one of them. What would you want to figure out to evaluate who you should hire into your company?
So I think number one would be like the way they come to the interview. If they're on time, and if even if they're early, that's amazing. That's off to a good start.
Okay.
Number two is if they're dressed properly. Like I don't want to interview someone who's in a t-shirt and joggers with like some sneakers on. I would rather interview someone who's in a full suit.
So professionalism.
Yeah, professionalism.
Showing up on time, dressing appropriately.
Yeah.
What else?
Yeah. Number two, whenever we're in the interview, I would love to hear like I want the communication to be like, I know it's an interview, but like I still want to see some like, I want to see like they've done this before kind of thing. Like I don't want to see like, looking all over the place, just like fiddling with their hands always, or like, trying to like look at their phone, do some other things.
So you want to evaluate if they're confident or not.
Yeah.
Okay. So they both demonstrate confidence. They dress well, show up on time, show up early, and they both are maintaining eye contact, not fiddling. They both are confident. What else would you evaluate?
So after that, I feel like whenever we're talking about the job, about what they're gonna get into, if they, I don't know how to explain it, but if they like talk about it as if they've, because they're straight out of college, so if they talk about it as if they've done jobs like this before, and like if they,
Let me pause you. This may not be the first job. It could be 20 years from today.
okay,
I want you to make a framework. When you're looking to hiring someone, what would Randeep Singh look for? Okay, so this may be the second, third job. Fair enough?
Yeah.
Continue.
yeah. So I would like for them to talk more about like the job and like things that they've done before they've come to me.
That's on the resume. You can read it.
I know, but I want to hear it from them. They may
Okay.
write it down, but the way that they present the idea to me, the way they talk
Let's
about
do
it.
this. I'm a candidate. I've applied to your company, Randeep Singh Enterprise, all right? And I've applied for a job. Interview me.
Okay.
So I've dressed well. Hopefully I have.
Yes.
Showed up on time. I'm maintaining eye contact. I'm demonstrating confidence to you. So interview me.
So, hello, Mr. Kunal. How are you?
Fantastic. Good to see you.
It's good to see you too. So, why do you want the job?
Absolutely. So you asking the candidate, why do you want the job?
Yeah.
Right? It's a good question. But instead of asking, why do you want the job? And I interview candidates all the time. It's about getting clarity what someone's long-term goals or what someone's long-term vision is. Okay? Because when you say, why do you want the job? They can look at your job posting that we have an opening in this position, this profile. The resume meets the criteria, and they can say, because Randeep, you have an opening, and I have the right skill sets, I have the experience. That's why I want the job. So, right line of questioning, but instead of why do you want the job, what you should evaluate is that why are they even in the position or profile they're in. Okay, so what's really important to evaluate, Randeep, is the background experience. See, knowing the story as to what they've done in life is really important. Okay, so you ask the question why they want the job, and they can make up an answer. Okay, continue.
Yeah. So, what made you get into this, position? Like, what got you here?
This field? Great question. So now what you're doing is evaluating why they went to college for a specific field, why they took the first job, second job. Great question. What else would you want to ask?
So after that, I kind of asked, like, what do you bring to this team that a lot of other people who are lined up outside don't?
Okay. So you're evaluating the value proposition that the candidate brings to your company. Fantastic. Okay, continue.
Yeah. So after that, I don't really have it right now, but I'd ask a trick question, and like, you know how you've seen in like a lot of shows, like Suits or something. Whenever they were interviewing all the candidates, they've asked like some type of trick question that once they give the right answer, then, or not even a right answer, but like an answer that like, damn, I wouldn't have thought about that. It kind of gets them like, okay, well, it puts them on their radar. So I don't know about that question now, but it's just something I think about over the couple of years to like figure out what's that one trick question that'll really
Why is
make
it
or break a
important for you to
person.
ask a trick question?
Well, because I feel that it really shows the person and like who they are and how they really think.
Okay.
You know, because all these questions are very basic. You know,
Mhm.
why did you get into this? How did you get into this? You know, why do you want the job? Stuff like this is very basic. You know,
Okay.
anyone could plan for it. But like I want to see like, you know, like on the spot, you're
Okay.
put on the spot, think of something right now.
Okay.
How do you respond?
Okay. So you want quick thinkers who can potentially, even when you're employed by a future company, they're able to find solutions to a problem very quickly. Fair enough. So your framework is correct. Reason I'm doing this with you today, Randeep, is this framework you're outlining is a framework that applies to you and me on a daily basis. Believe it or not, no matter what you're doing on a daily basis, you're being interviewed by someone or you're interviewing someone
Yeah.
every day. When you go to next grade, when you go to school, you meet someone down the hall, meet someone new in the class. He or she may be conversing with you, but you are evaluating and determining, is this someone I want to associate with? In your mind, you're interviewing them and determining whether you should spend time with them or not. And they could be doing the same thing with you. So when you are being interviewed every day, you have to be clear what you are seeking as an outcome of the interview,
Yeah.
right? In this case, I really want to evaluate who she is or who he is because you're seeking companionship, you're seeking friendship, or you just want to hang out with people. Your ask has to be clear.
Yeah.
So I talk about in the book, Randeep, it's about vision, then value, and then the ask. Right? Vision, value, ask. Most people are goal driven. My goal is to make the largest company, most revenue, hire so many people, make this much money, live in this kind of a car, or live in this kind of a home,
Yeah.
or drive this kind of a car. So that's goal driven. And once you accomplish your goal, if you have nothing more to look forward to, you get complacent.
Yeah.
But vision in life is so much bigger that you never, ever reach the finish line. So when I was 15-year-old, I had no clarity of vision, let alone goals, anything of that sort. In fact, I was completely clueless. I was in my own la-la world and living my best of life. So what you're doing today as a 15-year-old is way advanced than most people that I know of your age profile, because you are taking the initiative to talking to other people who are successful business owners to hear their story. So phenomenal step over there.
Thank you.
The key thing is when you're talking to these people and you're hearing their stories, their whys, their journey, you're taking snippets from their lives, which may not be relevant to you today.
Yeah.
But trust me, where a data point shared by one of your family's friends or maybe from me, those data points become experiences that you can potentially relate to your
Yeah.
future. So first, I mean, I'm proud of what you've done so far. So I believe you have a few rapid fire questions
Yeah.
you want to ask me.
Yeah.
So go ahead, ask what you want to ask me.
So first, you know, who are you? Like, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and about your background?
Absolutely. Happy to share that with you. So I was born in India. I moved to US when I was 21 years old.
Yeah.
And when I came to America, Randeep, I came with certain mindset. I'm privileged, I'm blessed that my parents were financially successful to support me, to send me to America, to come here to go to college. But when I landed over here, even as a young adult, I'd made up my mind that thank you, parents, but going forward, whatever I do in my life, I'm going to do on my own. I'm not going to go back to my parents and ask for more money.
Yeah.
So coming to America was an opportunity. Came here to go to grad school, and my parents had given me so much money to pay for my tuition for the first year at college. But the day I landed, my admission letter, Randeep, said I was admitted on probation.
Oh.
And reason for that was back at home in India, when I was doing the undergrad, I was partying all the time, right? So my grades were not good. I barely had average grades. So I can say I had barely 3.0 GPA in my undergrad. But when they converted my grades to US grades, it was at 2.8, 2.9, right under 3.0 GPA. So they said, the college said, you're admitted, but you're on probation, and you cannot work on campus. And if you do not get 3.0 or more at the end of first semester, you have to pack your bags and go back. So I was on a mission that I got to get my grades up.
Yeah.
But with the mindset of come to America, I want to do something on my own.
Yeah.
So every day, I came about a week, 10 days before the semester started, I would go door knocking to every professor's door with seeking an opportunity for them to give me a job on campus as an assistant.
Yeah.
And I would come back home every evening, get disappointed. So initially I was put up with these other Indian students at campus, and they would tell me every evening, Randeep, they would say, Kunal, on your admission letter it says probation, you cannot work on campus. Why are you going about knocking on these doors and talking to these professors because you can't get it? And I would say each time, what, let me first get a job, and then I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And 2 days before the semester started, I had an opening. I got a job. That was the first assistantship.
Yeah.
I worked multiple of those over the years. When I graduated, every penny that my parents had paid me or given me to pay my tuition fee, I returned all the money. Not because they asked for it, because I don't want it to be a case where, Kunal is privileged. His parents gave him money. He came to America, did all that. Even when I was in college, I did not eat out a single day for 2 years. When I said eat out, I'm not talking about going to a restaurant. I did not even go to McDonald's.
Oh, wow.
My sister, Nimisha, would prepare breakfast, lunch, dinner for me and her every day. I would take my food to school, to the classes. I would walk to school, walk back home, where I had thousands of dollars, almost $18,000 sitting in the bank. Because I realized if at that age I'm not financially disciplined, it's always going to be a strategy where I'm always seeking more help from my parents or somebody else. So coming to America, I came with a certain mindset. I had no concept about goals or vision, but I wanted to be financially independent. Then graduated, got my first job, moved to Houston to work for a consulting company. And I was in corporate America for over a decade. But I realized one thing, Randeep, that when you're working for a company, or you're working for someone, you're working towards their vision and their goals for the company and life, right? And I realized that no matter how successful you are working for someone or you're not successful, they're going to determine when you get a pay raise, when you get a promotion, and whether you're going to advance in your career or not. And I had to pay my dues based on a visa status I had, a student visa, the work permit. So I had to pay my time and dues working in corporate America. So I learned a whole lot. The experience was priceless. But multiple times in my career in corporate America, I was passed up on promotions. Because the way I communicate, the way I operate, I'm a very direct communicator, and I challenge all the time. You're asking me to do it this way, why this way? Why not this way? And I'm very inquisitive. A lot of times when you have a job, you're just told, do this job from A to B, just do it. Don't ask questions. And that may be aligned with what your employer manager is seeking. But for personal growth, if you're not questioning and being inquisitive about why you're doing something, you will never get better at that. So my questioning, doing all those things, were not aligned with the corporate structure I was in. And in 2013, I made the decision of leaving corporate America and becoming self-employed. The primary driver was I want to determine how hard I want to work, when I want to take time off, and how much money I make. I don't need anyone to tell me when I'm capped with my pay raise or capped with my promotion. So being in control is very important to me. Okay? So journey has been 20 plus years coming to America, but everything I do is about being in control of my present so I can plan for my future more effectively. So from your perspective, you're still in high school, 10th grader. Even if you get influenced by 100 entrepreneurs to start your own business, start your own venture, which is good, long term, but I truly believe when you work at a company, when you're employed, when you're answerable to someone, it creates a framework of discipline. Because if your own boss and you may be motivated, not motivated on a specific day, you may get lazy and not show up for your own office or not show up for work for yourself. No one's holding you accountable when you're self-employed or you're an entrepreneur. But when you have a job, rain or shine, you got to have deliverables done, meet the deadline. So no matter what path you pick, and we can talk about it in more detail, but working for someone, working for a company, being answerable, having the framework of accountability is paramount, is imperative for you to go through that. Then, you know what, I got a business idea, let me start my own business. Because you would never learn about dealing with people and being held accountable. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
So that was a quick journey coming to America and then being in the business that I'm in today.
Yeah. So what really made you make that move for leaving corporate America and, start your own business to where it is now?
Sure. So I have certain trigger points in my
Yeah.
life where, something that I'm seeking and I
Yeah.
don't get it, it gets me more motivated and fired up. So being immigrant coming from India, most of us, even your parents'
Yeah.
generation, we have a mindset of making $100,000.
Yeah.
Right? So in 2013, my base salary was about $93,000 and change. And I had a lot of other benefits, health insurance. So overall, I was making over $100,000. But that year, Randeep, I told my hiring manager at my previous job that this year, when I get my pay raise in Q4, I would like to get to $100,000, just my base salary. Then in October timeframe, I did get a pay raise.
Yeah.
It went to $99,987, right?
Wow.
Base salary. $13 short of $100,000.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just a matter of a computer spitting
Yeah.
out what I was going to make, or maybe it was intentional. I don't know. No, I do not care. But that triggered that I was held back by $13. It was symbolic for me to see, congratulations, Kunal, pay raise $100,000. That was a straw that broke my back.
Yeah.
So while I take risk in life, Randeep, but I take calculated risk.
Yeah.
So prior to that time frame, 6-8 months prior to that, I'd got my license to be a realtor.
Yeah.
And I'd be doing real estate part-time. And the amount of money I made in the 6-8 months, that gave me the confidence that if I quit my job today and become a full-time realtor, can I potentially make as much hours as I was making corporate America, if not more?
Yeah.
So while there are shiny objects around you all the time, doing your own risk analysis is really important. Like you may think, you know what, he or she's doing that. Let me just do that and make tons of money. Money will come, but it's a state of mind that's more important. So I was in a state of mind that I'm done. And I had been with that company for 4 years and 7-8 months and change. But they had a policy, if you're with them for 5 years or more, then you have lifetime benefits. But I was so done. I said, I don't care
Yeah.
if I have to spend struggling being a realtor for the next 6 months, but I'm done over here. The drive and hunger that I got from being shortchanged has made me millions of dollars over the years. And that was only done not because it was a trigger that I called for, but it was a moment in life.
Yeah.
If that had not happened, maybe would have spent another 6-8 months being in that company and then starting off my real estate career in the future. So for me, it was that moment, getting shortchanged, that got me thinking I gotta quit today.
Yeah. Yeah. So how did you build the Seth name from the ground up? Like now if you go walk outside, you go to a Kroger and like you say, hey, do you know Kunal Seth or Sonnet Seth? They'll be like, yeah, I know them. You may not know them, but they know you based off of, the things that you've done. So how did you just build this name from the ground up?
So before I answer how, let me tell you why. Because
Yeah.
you've been saying that you've been why.
Yeah.
So it's about the why. So for me, everything is all about building a brand.
Yeah.
For me, it's all about building something that can be duplicated and passed down potentially to your kids or grandkids.
Yeah.
So Houston has 40, 50,000 realtors.
Yeah.
Most realtors chase a transaction, which is, let me help you buy a home, I'll earn commission,
Yeah.
get financial success, and spend the money. For me, it was all about long-term, what do I need to plan, strategize that will help my business going, whether I'm plugged in and selling a home or not. Fair
Yeah.
enough? Now, my last name is Seth, just a coincidence. Sonnet's last name, my brother's last name is also Seth. So I'm all about creating leverage through partnership,
Yeah.
right? So a lot of people who are running a show on their own, whether they're solopreneurs or they run their own business, there is no way, Randeep, no matter how successful you are, that you'll be the best at everything.
Yeah.
Period. Take that, and that's how it's going to be. My philosophy in life is, I know what I'm good at. I'm going to capitalize on that and get better at that. What I'm not good at, let me be aware of those shortcomings or things that I'm not good at, but find people around me who complement and good at those things. Fair enough? I also believe while I'm running my own company, having my own show, I get to keep all the wealth to myself.
Yeah.
Fair enough?
Yeah.
I also believe collaboration or partnership would not make 1 + 1 2, but 1 + 1 would make it 5. Because there are things that I'm not good at, the other partner would bring that to the table.
Yeah.
So for me, it was collaborating, partnering with somebody that I can grow with. But for me, the foundation was trust. A lot of companies are made every day and they're broken every day. And they break apart because of lack of trust or something coming in the way. And most times, Randeep, it is money that comes in the way.
Yeah.
Right? You may have heard the saying, don't do business with family or friends.
Yeah.
Because if you do business with family and friends, if you have an issue
Creates bad blood.
or a fallout, your relationship gets impacted. And that
Yeah.
does happen. But for me, it was, do I trust this person?
Yeah.
Yes. Do I like this person? Yes. This I'm talking about a business partner.
Yeah.
He has 15, 17 years in the business as a
Yeah.
realtor. Can I lean on him, use a partnership as a leverage to create more success? Everything I thought about was quick yes, quick yes, quick yes.
Yeah.
At the same time, I thought, you know what, if I'm not able to get success that I'm seeking in this business, I have my education, I have my work experience, I can always
Yeah.
go back to corporate America.
Yeah.
So for me, building the brand was very important. I also saw a lot of realtors who had been in the business for 20, 30 years before me.
Yeah.
And I would drive around, see their branding, see their logo, see their faces. And when I would drive around, what they looked like today and what the picture showed was a big gap.
Yeah.
So I realized in my mind that if I have my face or Sonnet's face as a brand and logo, we're not going to look the same
Yeah.
in 10, 20 years.
Yeah.
So I designed or had a company design a silhouette of me and
Yeah.
Sonnet
Yeah.
as a brand. Then also believe people relate well with people who do business with family.
Yeah.
Right? I also used to watch HGTV all the time.
Yeah.
And there's a show on HGTV called Property Brothers. Okay? I actually do not know what the brothers' names are, but it's Property Brothers. That was my inspiration. I say, you know what? Seth, same last name. Let's call ourselves the Seth Brothers team. But for us, it was building the brand around that silhouette,
Yeah.
that logo.
Yeah.
The logo is seen over and over again, during open houses, during listings, or during conversations. Then that would lead for us to get more recognition and potentially get more sales. Was I able to answer your question? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, in this day and age, and when in your company, what are like the main uses of like technology and stuff that you're using?
Sure. Happy to answer that for you. But I wanna ask you is, why are you asking that question? Why is that important to you?
Yeah. So what it does for me is that whenever I was looking into business, before business, I was actually very interested in technology. I was thinking about going into IT space before I joined DECA. So in middle school, I was like looking at it a little bit. It was like, hey, IT is not such a bad thing. I could really work on, Gen AI, all this stuff, and I could make loads of, money on it and get loads of knowledge on it too. So, but then whenever it came to business, then I was thinking, maybe I can do business and do this, like maybe I can incorporate Gen AI and all this and leave a footprint, So like, for example, if someone thinks of a business using Gen AI, I want to be that business that comes straight in their mind, So like, just want to get that idea.
So is your desire to be someone who can provide tools and solutions, which are technology-based solutions, or do you want to be someone who wants to create them?
So I actually want to use the first one, where I want to use the technology in order to create the solutions, because I feel like if I'm in business, whereas making technology would be great and people would love that, but the thing is, whenever I think of business, I think of solving a solution, solving a problem, not creating something in order to like solve something that's not even that big of a problem.
I need some
right now.
clarity.
Yeah.
So you're saying that you were at one point in time interested in the IT field, correct?
Yeah.
And you had interest in that field because you said that would get you to solve problems, but also make a lot of money, correct?
Yeah.
So do you want to go into getting a degree in computer science and IT so that you learn coding, learn all that stuff and design tools? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, so I used to think that.
Okay.
But then after DECA, I like learned about business, and then I was like, this is great, It's not as much schooling as med school, where I'm, taking like 6 years out of, or like 6 to 8 years out of my life to just do straight schooling, and the school is like very like tiresome and it's gruesome. It's a long, road. I don't have to go through that kind of schooling, but then at the same time, I'm not like not going to school.
I got it. Ask the question again.
Yeah. So in this day and age, what kind of technology are you using
Okay.
in your business?
Let's just say talk to 100 people and they give you their own answers. What technology they're using, the dependency on AI, all of those things. And it actually is, let's just say even 90% of the business run on that. And if you hear that from 100 people, how would that change your perspective?
So I think from there, then I'd really get like a reality check for how much technology is really getting used. You know, like if I've heard, so I've actually, I've interviewed a couple of people who run truck driving businesses, and they've told me that technology is a huge thing that they use. Instead of them to hire other people in order to, drive their trucks, because you have to go through a training in order to drive in order to drive those kind of big trucks. Instead of hiring people to drive those trucks and teach these people who are trying to get hired, they're using AI and they're using like other uses of technology in order to teach these people.
Let me clarify my question. So let's just say talk to 100 people and they lay a lot of emphasis on tech-based solutions, run the business, logistic business, real estate, whatever it may be. How would that change your thought process or your trajectory or what you want to do in the future? How would that change that?
So I think then I'd be more like technology based. I think whatever I would do in the future would be based on technology, because if I see all these businesses.
Okay, that's what I want to challenge you right here. What you're doing is picking a sample of people who are successful and different industries, asking them what emphasis, what value they see from technology, and what you just said was based on the responses that could change your growth plan, whether seek an opportunity in the IT field, correct? Let me ask you this. Without talking to any of these people, without even talking to me or asking the question to me, what you know of the world today and what you know of the world that your parents have shared with you or what your grandparents have shared with you, do you agree, do you believe that we are becoming more technology-based race? You aware of what AI is doing?
Yes.
My quick answer to you, Randeep, is while I appreciate the question, but that question does not have a lot of relevance. Because I don't want you to be influenced about your future if your sample of people you're interviewing or talking to, they say, technology, oh, you know what? All these people want tech-based solutions, so I should pick a field in technology. My belief system is very simple. If I spend 4 years or 6 years or 8 years becoming an expert in technology, by the time I'm done, could what I've learned become obsolete? Answer is absolutely yes. The advancement in tech has been tenfold in the last few years. It's rapidly growing. What laptops used to look like, 20 years back, what they look like today, these iPhones that we use today, I mean, they're powerful machines, right? So the way I process things, Randeep, is what am I doing today that would make me better for the future that's not dependent on the market or the conditions. Because you cannot control how fast the technology changes, correct? So while I appreciate your question, I want you to think of it this way. The response from people is a data point, but you need to be clear on day one what you feel is right for you and not right for you. So had you asked me the question, hey, Kunal, uncle, I had an interest in technology field based on my parents' influence, based on whoever, but now I'm leaning more towards learning more about business. And here's my thought process. What's your opinion? That's a different line of questioning. So your question is, you ask a question, give an answer. But what's really important is for you to think about how the response could impact your future. So direct question for you. If I had told you that all my business, real estate, is being run by technology, and if there was no technology, I would be a failure today, would that change the plan that you want to have for your future?
To be honest, yes. Because I would think about it and I'd say, you know what, based off of all these people that I've interviewed, technology has been a main thing. And then now that I've interviewed you and I see that technology is like the biggest, then I would see that in the future, if I ever do something like this, then I'm going to also need to implement technology a lot. And, even if I start like something that may not require technology, I still would need to implement something like that, because I see that if technology is such a big thing now and like look at where you've become, that means
would this change your choice of major or choice of college based on these responses?
Well, I mean, it depends on the response, to be honest. If I hear that, technology is a big thing, then in business, then I wouldn't really change my major. But if I heard that, you know, it's a very gruesome, tiring, and like it takes so much effort, people have like, some very.
Randeep, no matter what effort it takes, it's about your interest. I know of people who are super interested in coding, figuring out how technology works, and the different companies or camps that offer those kind of curriculum. It's your interest. At this age, I know it's challenging for you to be clear about what do I love doing? Do I love being behind the scene, coding stuff, finding solutions based on technology? Or do I love being in front of people, interacting with people, public speaking? Two different fields. I do agree with you that no matter what I do, no matter what you do in the future, technology is going to play a really important role. But I don't want you to be influenced in your choice of career based on what you get responses from 10, 20, 100 people you talk to. Because they all are going to say, and I'll be shocked if any people that you talk to say, oh, I use no technology. That's not going to be the case. But if it's one of the key questions you're asking, I really want to make sure the outcome or the responses you get from these people does not make you change your path or your interest. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the next question you have for me?
So, so can you talk about, actually, wait, hold on, let's not. So how do you approach innovation and staying ahead of, this competitive market in real estate?
Okay. So for me, it's not about innovation, Randeep. It's about constantly adding value. My industry is centuries old. Homes have been bought, homes have been sold. It's a very old industry. So while innovation is important, I don't believe I'm that innovative in the industry. Yes, there are people who have come into this industry who truly are inspiring and they are visionary. I'm not one of them. I've not done anything to attribute to innovation in real estate industry. What I believe in is that what am I doing on a daily basis to add value in the industry? Okay, I talked about vision, value, ask. Value does not mean that you're looking to buying a home and I give you right financial advice to what you should pay, where you should buy the home. That's almost expected. You got to give that advice to me. But value to me means what am I doing to uplift other people in my market, in my industry, to make them more successful? That comes with training, coaching, mentoring them. I also believe the basic fundamentals of my business are never going to change. No matter how much AI I bring into real estate, a face-to-face conversation or walking a home with a client cannot be duplicated through virtual tours, right? Because I can have virtual tour of a home and put on my those glasses and walk a space. I can get a sense of it. But when you drive to a home or you drive to a commercial space that you're considering buying, it's the neighborhood. It's the people who live there. It's the coffee shop. It's the profile of people. It's all of those things that make a difference. What kind of cars are driving down that street? What kind of weather conditions you have. So while I believe AI solutions are always going to help us in the industry, but in my market, in the field that I'm in, the direct touch and feel and walking through properties is important. So while innovation is important, I'm not an innovator, but I'm the kind of person who will find ways to add value on an ongoing basis. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah. So actually, let me rephrase that question. Let me, ask something else. So what would you do to get a client on your side? What would you do to make that client think, oh, I shouldn't go to like an agent that works at Remax or an agent that works at somewhere else? What would make you change that client's perspective and make them come to the Seth Brothers?
Great question. So everything I do at Randeep is about adding value to the clients and making sure they can trust me with the process. For me, the end ask or end outcome of a transaction is I or my company will be financially rewarded through the transaction. That outcome is going to happen. However, the journey of going from point A to point B, when I'm working with a first-time buyer or an investor, they're point A. They have a desire to acquire an asset or they have a need to sell a home. I have to basically become the navigator through the process. So what I do is I make an assumption that I'm the expert and they're not the expert. Okay? And my feedback or my conversation with them is based on how much hand holding they would need through the process. Okay. So when I meet with the clients for the first time, I become almost like a consultant. And I walk them through the process of buying a home as an example.
Yeah.
Because I know you were driven to the studio today, but when you start driving in the future, when you have to go from point A to point B, more than likely you're going to use Google Maps or some kind of mapping software to get from point A to point B. The GPS will tell you, hey, Randeep, slow down. There's a red light coming up, or turn left, turn right. So you'll follow those instructions. Because if you don't do that, if you have to keep driving, hold down your window and ask for directions, it'll take you forever to get there.
Yeah.
So the map helps you get from point A to point B in a shorter period of time. It'll also tell you where there's traffic and give you alternate routes.
Yes.
Correct?
So you're the map.
So I am the GPS and the navigator. So when I talk to clients in the first consultation meeting, I share with them the journey of going from point A to point B. And I share with them what potholes are going to be on the road, what speed bumps are going to come up, and how I'm going to help them navigate that. So in a home buying process, it's just not finding the dream home, but it's also about making sure you have the right lending partner to find the right financial solutions. You have to make sure that you hire the best inspector to make sure the condition of the home is correct, and so on and so forth. So my objective is when I meet with a client, I demonstrate my knowledge, my expertise effectively, okay? I share with them a journey, but I also share with them the outcome at the end. In the end, you're going to buy a home. If you buy a home at this price range, that's going to be my ask, that I get paid X dollars, right? But I'm not going to ask for that money till I help you get to the finish line. And the process of going from A to B could take me a day, could take me a month, or could take 6 months. And sometimes it takes 7 years. So what I communicate to my clients is my commitment to their financial success. I'll do whatever it takes. So for me, whether they work with me or my team or with another agency or another broker, that's their decision. But I got to make it clear that we're working as a team. So those kind of conversations, those kind of verbal commitments that I make, makes the client feel confident that I'll be able to help them navigate through the process.
Yeah. So say I'm a new client, right?
Okay.
I don't have a realtor. I'm looking for a home, and I just walked in to say one of your events. Okay, I'm looking for a realtor. I'm looking for a home in Sugar Land. How would you approach me? How would you talk to me? Stuff like that.
Sure. So the framework and a philosophy that I have is being inquisitive and asking a lot of questions. So in my previous life, when I was in corporate America, I used to be an auditor.
Yeah.
I was trained to ask a lot of questions because what you see on the surface when I go and audit an organization, everything seems good.
Yeah.
But if you dig and find the pain points, find the problem areas, or find where there are non-compliances or issues, right? So I have to very quickly, skim through the fluff and find the issues as an auditor.
Yeah.
Same way, when I meet someone for the first time, I just say you were looking to buying a home. What you want to do is, it's known. You want to buy a home. A realtor would ask a question, like, you want to buy a home? What price range? Where do you want to buy a home? And then they would send a list. What I would do is, and what I do is, I would ask them, why do you want to buy a home? Why do you want to buy a home now? And what have you been doing the last few years? Have you been renting? Are you a first-time buyer? I want to understand the thought process, the whys behind their reasoning to buying a home now. So if I understand that really well, I would evaluate and determine the drivers. You know what? Somebody could say, I recently got married, I have a family, I have kids. I want to make sure that I live in an area that has good schools, or I live with my parents now, or they live with me, and I want to buy a home or live in a home that has multiple bedrooms on the first floor, right? So determining the reasoning, being inquisitive, gets me data points, and then I make the storyline. Okay, you said this, you said this, you said this, and you said this. Based on that, here's what we need to do. And sometimes, Randeep, it's not about just making a sale, but pushing them forward in the right direction. And the direction of owning a home may actually happen in 1 year, 5 years, or 10 years. But I got to put them in a framework to get to that point.
Yeah.
Like it or hate it, a lot of people in every market are credit challenged. they have a desire to buy a home. They have a need to buy a home, but they don't qualify to getting a loan.
Yeah.
Right? Now I have to ask that question. Okay, what happened in the history that your credit profile is not ideal
Yeah.
for a bank to give you money?
Yeah.
Now, if I know the problem, I got to fix that problem.
Yeah.
Right? What's that going to take? Improving the credit profile. Because if they have bad spending habits and they've been behind the payments, when they buy a home, if they get behind the payments,
Yeah. Then
guess
they
what
could
happened?
get kicked out.
Foreclosed.
Yeah.
The home will be taken away. So for me, it's about evaluating the whys, asking the right questions. In my opinion, unlocking a door or showing a home, writing a contract, that's easy. So my engagement is the whys, being inquisitive, want to understand that, then make the process or the directional map to get to the finish line.
So just curious, has there ever been a time where you've had to tell a client, wait a few years, get your credit score up, and then try to come for a house?
Absolutely. Happens all the time. See, forcing someone to buying a home so that you can earn commission is a transactional based relationship.
Yeah.
Because, hey, if I tell him to rent a home for the next 2 years, he can build on this. At the same time, he can buy a home today, maybe a lower price point, but over here, not ideal location, will get me commission today. Because in our industry, Randeep, when I help someone rent a space, rent a home, the amount of financial success I get out of that transaction is minimal.
Yeah.
If I help someone buy a home, my financial success is exponential.
Yeah.
Right? So if I'm just looking at money to be made, and if I tell them, hey, I know you really want to buy a home in this area at this price point,
Yeah.
but you're bad credit, you can only get this much money.
Yeah.
Go ahead and buy a home here. Now that neighborhood may not be a safe neighborhood, may not be the right neighborhood. Maybe the advice is let's wait for a few months, few years to get your credit profile right. So it's on a case-by-case basis. At the same time, my belief system, Randeep, is long-term financial success comes from owning real estate.
Yeah.
Okay? So if that means this person buys a smaller home or inexpensive home to build his profile,
Yeah.
that may be a solution. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. So, so what role did mentorship play in your life?
Great question. So while I look up to people and I seek them as mentors, I don't have as such mentors that I talk to him or talk
Yeah.
to her on an ongoing basis. But I look up to people in my industry, in the market, or otherwise, what is he doing? What is she doing? What skill sets do they have
Yeah.
that I can apply in my business or my life on a daily basis? So mentorship is important, being coach is important, but being inspired is more important. I look for inspirations from people. If I can say this, is my mom a mentor to me? You can make an argument, maybe yes, maybe no, but if you ask me today, no, she's not a mentor.
Yeah.
But is she an inspiration to me? Absolutely, yes. And I've been seeing her, go through ups and downs in life for as long as I can remember. Right?
Yeah.
When she was a teacher, when she started her own business, when she is striving for excellence today. So I'm learning from her,
Yeah.
not as my mentor, but somebody who inspires me.
Yeah.
So for me, what's really important is not necessarily to pick people who would be good mentors for you, because in each phase of your life, what you're seeking could change, right? Today, you may say, I really want to excel in technology field. Then you will seek mentors or people who are excelling in that field.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, you say, I want to start my own business. I want you to be my mentor. Mentorship is important, but what's really more important, in my opinion, is who inspires you. Pick a handful of people. It could be your parents, it could be your friends, it could be somebody you look up to. And those inspirations, people who inspire you, stays in your core. What do I love about him? What do I love about her? What did they do in life? And what aspect of their journey was relevant to me, right?
Yeah.
That would inspire me to be more successful. That is more important to me than, I get mentored by this, that person, because if someone's mentoring me, their journey is not the same as mine.
Yeah.
Right? They may think this is the field you got to be in. I don't want to be influenced by someone to pick a field or do something because they think it's right.
Yeah.
I'll do my own assessment. I don't want to confuse you.
Yeah.
But just to summarize what I'm saying is mentors are important to me, and I have a few. but being inspired by the right people is more important to me.
Yeah. So, who were your people that inspired you?
My mom is one of the biggest influencers, people who inspired me. She's taken risk in life. She's been an entrepreneur for decades, and she believes in owning real estate, right? And I've seen that over the years, that what she's done for the family, what's done for me, that it's taking a risk, buying something, real estate, holding on. Those are, my foundational thing, what I do
Yeah.
today. So she's a big inspiration. Then I have people in the industry. Somebody in the industry, her name is Amy Reno. She's currently in a C-suite with a national builder called Taylor Morrison Home. I've known her for almost 10, 11 years. When I was new in the market, I got to know her. So I look up to her, not because of the position profile she holds in a company,
Yeah.
not because of success the company she works for, Taylor Morrison, has on stock market, but how she treats her team members, employees, her collaborative mindset, how she's always looking to build the right culture in a company. That's what inspires me about
Yeah.
her. Then you have Jim Ellison, another person in our industry who is, in a leadership position with a local builder. But that person inspires me about having processes, policies in place that have no exception to the rule. What I
Yeah.
mean by that is, if my policy is to show up on time for work, I can't expect that from my employees if I'm not doing it for myself. If my business partner is not showing up for meetings on time, can I
Yeah.
expect you to be there? So that's another example. Jim Ellison has background when he was served in the army, so he's very, very disciplined, right?
Yeah.
So when he is disciplined, guess what? His organization is disciplined,
Yeah.
so that inspires me.
Yeah. So, can you share some key lessons that you've learned through your multiple years of business, also in corporate America too?
I've learned a lot of lessons, one of the key lessons that I want to share with you is you got to have keen listening skills. Most people, Randeep, are too anxious, eager to share their perspective. And you can tell by their body language, by the way they're making eye contact with you, or where they're breathing. And if you next time you're talking to someone, observe this. If you're talking to someone and you say something, you can tell even before you finish talking, they're eager to share their perspective.
Yeah.
Right? And in your mind, you're thinking, and you may think, let me finish my thought.
Yeah.
Right? But you already formed an opinion what response they want to give.
Yeah.
So one of the really key things is you have to have keen listening skills and be patient. I love playing poker.
Yeah.
Okay? And poker is a game where it's not about getting, pocket rocket, which is getting two aces in your hand. That's essentially the best hand you can be dealt. You could have pocket rockets, which is two aces, or you could have deuces. It's what you do with the hand, how you play the hand. And poker is a game about that you don't let other people read you. Because if I have two aces in my hand, Randeep, and I show all excitement through my facial expressions,
Yeah.
the other guys on the table would know, seems like Kunal
Yeah.
has a great hand. And if I bet, what will they do? Fold,
Yeah.
fold, right? If I get pocket deuces and my facial expressions show that, I may not be able to bluff, right? So keeping a straight face and being sincere about listening to people is key. And I've learned that over the years. When I'm talking to someone's engaging with me, I have to pay attention. Even though I know the answer within 3 seconds of them
Yeah.
opening the mouth, but I have to maintain a straight face. I don't have
Yeah.
to show the expression,
Yeah.
I'm just saying this. But
Yeah.
So what will happen when that person is talking to me, they get influenced in what they're sharing with me. Like,
Yeah.
it seems like Kunal does not agree with me.
Yeah.
Or he's loving what I'm saying, so I'll go double on that.
Yeah.
So what I would say is this: one of the key things to be successful, Randeep, is you have to maintain composure, a straight face. When someone's talking to you, no matter how right they are or how wrong they are, let them share their thoughts, let them share their perspective in their own words. Don't interrupt them.
Yeah.
Once they're done, step 2, you got to recap what they said. So Randeep, you said this, and I want to confirm, validate here. Step 3, ask for permission to share. So is it okay, Randeep, that I share with you my perspective? You'll say yes. So first, I listen to what you had to say. Next, I confirm, validate it, that I'm on the same page, what you share with me. Third, ask for permission to share your perspective. Once I've done that, then I'll be validating. So now that I share with you my perspective of the topic of discussion, what are your follow-up thoughts?
Yeah.
Right? Then pause again, look at them. So one of the early lessons I learned, not because of my missteps, but what I would observe, people's impatience
Yeah.
and eagerness to share their thoughts will not lead to the right outcome of the communication discussion. Another key aspects about being successful in life, Randeep, and you shared that through experience at DECA, is your communication skills, right? And when I interview people to hire them in my company, what they have on their resume profile, how much success they've had, how many homes they've sold, what programs they've done is important. I mean, that's a minimum benchmark. But if they cannot communicate with me effectively, what value they're going to bring to my company or organization, if they cannot communicate effectively what the long-term vision and goals are in life, I can't expect them to communicate effectively to the future clients and customers I would expect them to service.
Yeah.
If I'm seeking someone to even work in the back end, not necessarily client or customer facing, and they may not be communicating a whole lot, but as a business owner, they'll be communicating with me, correct? So communication skills are critical to be successful. No matter how intelligent you are, no matter what GPA you have, if you cannot communicate effectively, your success is going to be limited.
Yeah.
I mentioned to you earlier on, Randeep, like it or hate it, every day, knowingly or unknowingly, you are interviewing someone or someone's interviewing you, one way or the other. There's always something going on. So if you're able to communicate effectively what your thoughts are, topic of discussion, whatever it may be, that's when you create more collaborative partnership and be more successful.
Yeah.
So there are several things in life that I've learned and lessons learned, but communication, being inspired by people are two of the core foundational things that I believe in.
Yeah. So what are some key setbacks that you've experienced that made you rethink, like, damn, I'm doing something wrong. I gotta change something.
So it's not necessarily about setback, but it's been about, it's situational, it's circumstantial, right? So my situation was when I was working in corporate America, I couldn't just hop around with jobs because I had certain visa status. I was on work permit. On a certain work permit, you can't just switch industries. I have to stay in the same industry while my green card was in process. Okay. So did I have setbacks in not getting what I wanted in life? Whether it's promotion, yes. But I look back at it and think about, I am who I am. The way I was born, the way I was groomed, my mannerism, my way of thinking can be tweaked here or there, but my core is not going to change.
Yeah.
If Kunal is somebody who challenges people and questions things, I've been doing that ever since I can remember.
Yeah.
And my cousins and uncles would say, Kunal, why do you ask so many questions? They would look at it as something I was not positive. I look back and say, you know what? I'm glad I was inquisitive as a kid. I'm glad I questioned stuff with my parents, my teachers, my ex-employers, because that made me think critically. I need to understand why we're doing it this way. Did that lead to some setbacks in my life of not being promoted, not getting promotion? Sure. But I look at that was my journey, and that's something I had to experience. But now when I'm working with a client, sometimes I have to refrain myself and let them share their perspective and then come back and share my thought process of taking them on that journey.
Yeah. So going back to what you said about being inquisitive and, asking all the questions, I think that it's great to ask a lot of questions, because something that I see now with a lot of kids is that when they need to ask a question, they may ask it once or twice, but then afterward they get scared. They don't want to constantly keep pestering someone or constantly keep asking someone about these questions, even though they may not get it. They're just going to leave it at what it is and try to go figure it out on their own. For example, that's something I used to do in elementary and a little bit of middle school. One thing that I remember very clearly was in 5th grade. I was with my ELA teacher, and we had this one major project that was our end of the year project. And I was absent for a couple of days, so I didn't really understand, what we were doing, why we were doing it, how it was supposed to do. So I asked my teacher a couple of times what the project was and a couple of questions that I had. But the one main big question, she would answer it, but I wouldn't really understand it. so I kind of left it at it because I
You
felt
remember the
scared.
question?
I think it was on the project we were doing. It was on like It was on some characters.
Okay.
About the book we were reading, and I think we had to find the theme of the book, and then what the characters did to contribute to the theme. So it was something along the lines of that.
Okay.
And I never really understood the question then, because fifth grade Randeep was not who I am now. Like, I didn't really understand it, and I didn't want to constantly keep asking my teacher because I thought she would get annoyed. So I left it at that, and I went on with my day, and I came home and I just decided, I'll just figure it out on my own. I did not do well on that project. I think I got like a B or something on that project, and it hurt my grade badly. So after that year, I've been constantly asking questions. Even if I don't understand, I'll ask more. I'll do it again. I'll keep asking until I've got it. Like, okay, I know what to do now. I have it embedded enough in my brain to where I can recite it to one of my friends, or I can make someone else understand it. So yeah, I think it's great that people ask.
So
more
while
questions.
I want to encourage you to ask questions and be inquisitive, but your line of question cannot be interrogative.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you're asking a teacher the question, like, why am I doing the homework? Why is that? That's different.
Yeah.
But your intention of asking question is what I want to emphasize on. That you want to understand, why is my mom or why is my dad influencing me or pushing me or wanting me to take part in DECA?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure initially when you were considering DECA, and it was your decision.
Yeah.
But if you discuss with your parents, they would say, yes, Randeep, you got to do it. But it's a lot of time commitment, a lot of extra hours spent when you could
Yeah.
be playing basketball. So you made certain sacrifices doing that, right? Your parents may have the experience or may have the know-how. That's best for Randeep, and
Yeah.
here's the reason why. What I want you to do is just understand their reasoning. It's not about why should I do it, but can you mom, can you dad, or can you teacher help me understand why is it important for me to do this project,
Yeah.
to do this? See, understand the why is really important. And now, relatively, you are young, but 15-year-old, you're not a toddler.
Yeah.
You have the reasoning mindset. So what I'm encouraging you is questioning is important, but your intention should be more clear as to understanding the reasoning to influencing doing something.
Yeah. Yeah. So how do you build and nurture relationships with clients on like a personal basis?
Sure. So for me, it's all about making sure that they don't feel that I'm seeking a transactional partnership to make them money. I want to make sure they understand and feel that I'm doing it to make sure that they make the right financial decision. So it's not I can't give you a line by line item how I do it, but it's how I communicate, how I make them feel, makes them trust me. So everything for me, whether it's business or personal, is about building trusted partnerships.
Yeah.
Whether it's with my clients, with my team members, with my agents, or even with customers. It's a trust part that's me built. With some people, it could be I got to socialize with them. I got to go out for, a dinner, lunch, or a few drinks that makes them like or trust me more. So everyone has different aspects. For some people, it may be, you got to spend time with them one-on-one, having a conversation. So everyone has different love language, or they have different aspects that work for them. So I evaluate what works best for that team member, customer, client. But for me, everything starts with building trust with them.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think trust is the main one too. Like with a lot of my friends that I'm extremely close with now, it took time to really, crack their shell, because especially as kids, sometimes kids can be very shy and they won't want to talk to someone until, you really like get in there and you really like are in their lives to when they start opening up about you. I have a friend and me and him were friends since like elementary school. And I think over the time we've grown closer and closer and closer. But in middle school, when I, really understood about how important relationship with friends are, I think then I really got him to like crack that shell. And like now he'll tell me like everything and anything that goes on with him. If he has a problem, he'll come to me. If I have a problem, I'll go to him. Anything and everything, we'll just talk with everything. So yeah, I think trust is a huge, huge thing in life.
I want to ask you one last question. What's your long-term vision? What do you see yourself doing in the future, Randeep?
So right now in the future, I see myself, working as the CEO of my company, with wife, 2 kids, fully paid
Two
house.
kids.
Yes, 2 kids.
Why 2 kids?
A son and a daughter. Older son, younger daughter.
Oh, you have it scripted,
I
huh?
have it scripted.
How would you make sure that happens?
Well, I
Are
can't
you gonna,
really-
are you gonna adopt some kids?
no adoptions.
Right. So just on the side note,
Yeah.
while it's good, you have aspirations to be successful in life, and have a script and everything within the framework. I want to have wife, I want to have 2 kids, 1 boy, girl. When you have so specific details of your future, a lot of time what happens, Randeep, is if something does not go, which is not in your control. By the way, how many kids you have
Yeah, that's
and what gender they are, it's not in your
it's
control,
not my
right?
control.
It's,
Yeah.
I would say it's God's will. Being so specific about those details can sometimes backfire because it's the story you're telling in your mind. I'm going to have this in my life, this kind of family life, this kind of professional life. And when it does not happen, you get disappointed. A lot of time leads to depression.
Yeah.
So my suggestion is, if you had said, I want to be successful as a business owner, start my own company, all right, check. I want to have a happy life with my family in the future, I would probably leave at that.
Yeah.
But being too specific about things that you cannot control can lead to disappointments.
Yeah.
Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah. It's
Okay.
like it's setting false expectations, or it's not. It may not be false, but it's setting expectations that you don't really, know or have control of.
Correct. Now, if you said, I want to work these many hours, make this kind of money, sure, that's in your
Yeah.
control. Continue.
Yeah. So last question is what is one main piece of advice, like if you were to say one thing to any aspiring entrepreneur like myself, what is one thing that you would tell them?
For me, it's all about the marathon. It's not a sprint. There could be days, weeks, months, or years when you have lack of clarity of the finish line, lack of financial success, but it's a long-term game that you got to play. And I'm sure you can do your own research, or you may already be aware, but Jeff Bezos, when he started Amazon, for a long period of time, they were not profitable company. They were losing money year over year, year over year, year over year. But Jeff Bezos had a clarity for his vision that, yes, I'm losing money, but eventually I'm going to get to a point where online-based tools to buy and sell would be relevant and would make my company more successful. Same thing with Mark Zuckerberg. Facebook has always been free for end users, but there was a strategy to provide opportunity for vendors to advertise and do the ad campaigns. So my opinion is, while being an entrepreneur is important, getting financial success is important, but you have to understand, if you are motivated by the money you're going to make and you're seeking that as the only outcome of you being an entrepreneur, you're going to burn really quickly. Okay? In my opinion, money does come if you have the right business plan, right product plan, or right strategies. But that cannot be the driver for you on day one. For me, being an entrepreneur is about being in control and being able to make decisions when you want to make decisions. Okay? And that's the key thing. Making decision what company you start, who you hire, who you fire, how you build your brand is in your control. If you're that kind of person who wants to be in control and make your journey, make your path a success, then entrepreneurship is for you. If you want to be an entrepreneur because you want to be in control, because you want to work when you want to work and take a day off when you want to take a day off, or make as much money, your driver is not correct. Because a lot of people are more disciplined when they work within a framework, when they're told, here's your hours, here's a project, go do this. And they're very successful in that. So you have to really evaluate, Randeep, that are you wired? Are you getting yourself for success or failure to be an entrepreneur? That's a separate discussion altogether. Entrepreneurship is not for everyone. Period. It's not. I've seen people succeed and I've seen people fail. People think being an entrepreneur means, oh, I'll make the most amount of money and I'll do this and do that. Sure, that may be a product. But being an entrepreneur, you have to make tough decisions. We talked about role playing, you hiring someone, but you also have to sit across a table and fire someone. And that person's livelihood, how they pay their bills, how they feed their family, depends on you. But as a CEO of a company, you have to make the decisions. Do you have the ability, the mindset to make the decision? To see someone cry in front of you when you're fighting them,
Yeah.
That's part of being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Do you have the mindset to tackle that? That's part and parcel. So being an entrepreneur, it sounds all great. It all sounds good. But a lot of stuff goes behind the scene.
Yeah.
When you're an entrepreneur, CEO of your company, rain or shine, your employees must get the paycheck
Yeah.
every 2 weeks, every month,
Yeah.
rain or shine. You may be, cutting back on your lifestyle expenses and what
Yeah.
you eat, what you drink to make sure they're paid. That's a sacrifice.
Yeah.
So entrepreneurship comes with a lot of sacrifices, a lot of things that you have to give up to make other people more successful.
Yeah.
So what I want to tell you is this: while you're aspiring to be an entrepreneur, but get a complete picture.
Yeah.
What it takes behind the scene, the sacrifices made, and the commitments you make to other people
Yeah.
to make them more successful.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, those were all the questions I have.
Fantastic. I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
We discussed for over an hour today.
Yeah.
What was your number one takeaway from a discussion today?
I think my number one was the different steps that you told me about, recapping what they said, and then after that, asking permission to share the perspective that you have. I think that's very big, and it's something that I've seen a couple of times, and I've used a couple of times, but I need to improve on it.
Okay.
Because not only does it set a great, impression on the person that you're interviewing or, being interviewed by, it, makes them think in their head like, okay, he knows how to do this. Like whenever you said recapping what they said, I don't know how many times I've heard that. Like I know I've heard it from mom, I've heard it from dad, I've heard it from my grandparents too. And everyone has told me, Randeep, make sure you understand what they're saying so that way you can say it back, because it's going to happen where you're going to need to explain it back or say it back like that. Also, the second thing about the book, the vision, value, and the ask, that's also something that's literally just how life goes. Yeah, those are like my main two.
Love it. Love it. I would love for you to have a copy of my book, Randeep. And you've not read it, have you?
No, I don't
Okay.
think so. I don't believe so.
I would love for you to read it.
Yeah.
And come back and sit down with me and
Yes,
share with
I
me
will.
what you got out of reading the book. And some of the things that we discussed today are
Yeah.
in the book, but more details. My objective writing the book is to inspire people, give them a perspective about the journey I had
Yeah.
coming to America, being an entrepreneur, being in corporate America, the ups and downs, because everyone has those.
Yeah.
But it's how you communicate them. I believe I'm an effective communicator
Yeah.
verbally,
Yeah.
but this gives you more insight in a written format. So
Yeah.
we'd love for you to read it and come back to me and share with me
Yeah.
what key takeaways you got from reading the book.
Yes, I would love to.
I'm excited about your future, man. I wish I
you.
was this focused and dedicated at 15-year-old, but no regrets. I had a great
Yeah.
childhood, but what I see in you is a desire to improve. And the fact that you're going about talking to other friends of your parents, sitting down with them, asking about the journey and asking the list of questions,
Yeah.
only demonstrate that you are in a state of mind of learning, adapting, and making your future much better. And maybe you will have a wife, maybe you'll have a son, and then a daughter.
Yeah. One thing I go by is that whenever you're young, you're just a sponge. You just have to soak in every piece of knowledge, whether it's helpful for you, whether it's not. You just have to soak it up, whatever the matter is.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That was Randeep Singh, 15-year-old, going to 10th grade. And I was also inspired by his questioning, his thought process, and the fact he's taking his time and energy to learn about how to be successful in life. It's just not about academic excellence that Randeep talked about. It's about making sure you're communicating effectively and being clear about your future. Randeep, that's a book for you. Fantastic
you.
engaging me today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.